What would Ash's starter Pokemon be if Pikachu wasn't an option? That's actually a question I answered in a recent YouTube short, which you should check out if you haven't already, where I said it would have been Caterpie. And as you can expect, not a single person objected to that, and everyone was totally happy with me saying Caterpie was his true starter. Now, despite their blatant disregard for my feelings and mental well-being, some people did raise a good point. How would Ash have made it to Viridian Forest to catch Caterpie without Pikachu? Now, as the fake Pokemon fan I am, I sought to answer that question with the goal of honoring the original timeline as much as possible. And after watching an ungodly amount of Pokemon Indigo League over the last month, I finally have that answer. Everyone, I present to you the Caterpie Chronicles. In this timeline, Ash's adventure starts off the exact same way it did in the anime. He wakes up late, sprints to the lab in a panic, runs into Gary Oak beginning their rivalry, and then Professor Oak watches him open up each empty Pokeball like the sadistic bastard he is. However, unlike the original timeline, instead of having a magical fourth option emerge from the table, Oak says something along the lines of, "Tough shit, kid, you'll have to wait until the Pokeball League sends me more," which obviously would sadden Ash. Seeing Ash, a close family friend, distraught, Oak gives in and ends up still giving Ash the Pokedex and Pokeballs, promising he'll receive a new starter soon and telling him to wait patiently. Now, of course, on the surface level, this seems to play into protagonist privilege, but hear me out. For this timeline to work, we need Ash to receive these items, and the only alternative I could think of for him to receive these items was for him to break into the lab and steal them, but last I checked, he wasn't Silver. It's also important to remember the Pokedex in this show really isn't a big deal like it is in the game. In the game, your goal is to fill out the Pokedex and help the professor with their research, while in the show, it serves as an encyclopedia that has all the information already present. It wouldn't be unreasonable to believe Oak would just give him this just to allow him to educate himself in the meantime while he waits for his starter, especially since they have a pre-established relationship. Also, regarding Pokeballs, they are easily accessible and literally anyone could give Ash Pokeballs, so it might as well be Oak because he has them on hand. With that said, back to the main storyline. With Pokedex and Pokeballs in hand, Delia and a dejected Ash walk back to their house, with Delia consoling Ash as the moment he had waited for his whole life had been put on pause. Upon getting home, Ash rushes upstairs and begins to cry, the words of Gary Oak echoing in his head.
Well, Ash, you snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose. You snooze, you lose.
I'll show you.
Staring deeply at the Pokemon figurines in his room, Ash has an epiphany. He realizes he doesn't need to be given a Pokemon. He can simply catch one himself. It's his destiny to be the very best, like no one ever was, and he cannot let something like this get in his way, especially when Gary gets that much further ahead with every passing moment. Now determined more than ever, Ash considers telling his mom, but he knows how overprotective she is and opts to leave her a note instead. After quietly grabbing clothes, food, and anything else he thinks he'll need for his adventure, Ash escapes through his bedroom window and begins running towards the first route. At this point, the original and alternative timelines once again coincide. Ash tries to catch a Pidgey, fails, tries to trap it under his shirt, fails, Rattata steals from his bag, and then he throws a rock at a Sparrow, which causes him to get attacked. Now in the anime, the Sparrow ends up attacking Pikachu out of jealousy, which causes Pikachu to shock it in self-defense, ultimately causing Sparrow to cry out and for the entire flock to attack Ash and Pikachu. However, without Pikachu, Ash only has one Sparrow to deal with. Unfortunately for him though, he still really can't do anything because he has no Pokemon, and Ash ultimately decides to run away with Sparrow in hot pursuit. Similar to the show, the Sparrow chases Ash all the way to the waterfall where he jumps in to escape it, flows down the river, and gets hooked by an unexpected Misty. Confused, Misty berates the battered and bruised Ash and questions what the hell he's doing there all alone in the woods, to which Ash promptly explains the situation and looks off in the distance to see the Sparrow turning back to the rest of the flock. Misty then tries to convince Ash to go home, citing the dangers of being in the woods without a Pokemon, but Ash refuses, citing his destiny as a Pokemon master and his desire to beat Gary Oak. After a classic Misty and Ash argument, Ash attempts to continue his journey, but Misty ultimately follows him as she actually has morals and doesn't want to see Ash get hurt, promising to take him to Viridian City to get patched up. As Misty trails Ash with her bike in hand, a thunderstorm hits. The sound of thunder scares Misty, causing her to drop her bike and seek shelter with Ash. Unfortunately for Misty, a lightning strike hits her bike shortly after, causing it to get fried. Of course, Misty proceeds to blame Ash, as if she was alone, she wouldn't have had to slow down and would not have been caught up in the storm. This event ultimately provides the justification we need for Misty to stick with Ash, as now he owes her a bike as he did in the original timeline. Once the storm passes, Ash and Misty make their way to Viridian City, where Ash calls his mom, who obviously scolds him for leaving without telling her and also without the safety of a Pokemon companion. She tries to convince Ash to wait for her in Viridian City so that she can come get him, but seeing the passion in his eyes and Misty by his side, she knows she cannot dissuade him at this point. Instead, Delia asks Misty to watch over Ash and help him on his adventure, to which Misty reluctantly agrees, seeing Delia's concern for Ash, but she justifies it by saying she's staying with him until Ash can buy her a new bike. From here on out, everything is essentially the same. Team Rocket attacks the Pokemon Center, Ash and Misty try to fight them off, and the Pikachu squad causes mass destruction. The following day, Ash and Misty head to Viridian Forest, where Misty points out our lovely starter Pokemon, Caterpie. With one swift throw of the Pokeball, Ash manages to catch Caterpie and celebrates in excitement, showing the world he did not need to be given a Pokemon after all, and finally beginning his adventure as Bug Catcher Ash. And that's where this video sadly ends. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, and let me know if you want to see a part 2 down below, as I already have that timeline kind of sorted out. Also, please know that I actually stream on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and would love for you guys to stop by, as that's my ultimate goal with all of this. I stream a variety of things, from Nuzlocke to drawing Pokemon to also doing challenges in a variety of other games, so feel free to come by. It would mean the world to me. But with that said, as always, goodbye, Godspeed, and good night.